Hello and welcome to the Philippines. A girl walks into a bar. She walks into the bar with her boyfriend. The boyfriend has been thinking for a long time that he would really like a good Western style dinner. He says to his girlfriend, "Honey, let's have a really good meal tonight." She turns to him and says, "I want rice." "But honey, we've had rice every night for the last month, and you've had it almost every day at every meal." Love, race, and compatibility. And I just want to suggest that before you get real serious in the first week, 2 or 3, with somebody from another culture or even back in your own country, you should probably spend some quality time together and get to know what they like to eat, what they like to do, and see if you're compatible. It's very easy to fall in love with a pretty face here in the Philippines, or much of Southeast Asia for that matter. Take some time to get to know the person behind the pretty face. You should take some time and think about what you want in a relationship and find out what she or he wants in a relationship, and decide where you're willing to compromise. Many Filipinos want a child even past their 30s into their 40s, and perhaps many children. I have met a couple of foreigners in their 50s who indeed wanted to start a family over here, and that was one of their major goals. Now, if that's not one of your goals, you need to consider that. The Filipinos may have children already. They may have a family, and it might be a very large family that you're marrying. And it's been said about the Filipinas and many other Asian cultures is that when you marry the lady, you are marrying the family, and that can be true depending upon the family and depending upon how you handle it. I have met foreigners who have been very generous once they first met the girl and started supporting the family, building houses for the family, sending money to the family, being asked to send members of the family to school and college to support them, to pay medical bills, and that's all well and good if you're wealthy enough and you can afford to do that. But if you start doing that and then you find yourself in a bind financially, it's very difficult to back out of that and start taking that generosity away. So I suggest that you get your budget down fast and keep a very good control of it going in. Communication is probably pretty important in a relationship, and the longer that relationship goes on, it will become more and more important. I've got a number of friends who tell me that they are regularly asking time and again, "What did you say? What did you say?" And the partner also is doing the same thing. What did you say? And it's not a criticism, that's just the way it is with many Filipinos have a different English. They pronounce vowels and letters differently than we're used to in the USA, at least. A squid is squeed. A map that you get directions from is a mop. I had a lady showing me around a resort, and she told me this is a fun room, fun room, fun room. I told her I think all rooms should be fun rooms. Well, she meant fan room, fan room. So they pronounce things differently. I am also having limited success learning Bisaya, one of the languages here in Cebu, and even Tagalog, Filipino. I have a friend who is working really hard with his wife and trying to learn Bisaya. And I've watched him talk to other Filipinos, and he seems fairly confident that he's saying it right. But I can tell they're looking at him, and they really have no clue what he's saying. Hopefully, you will have a special gift that will help you learn the local languages very quickly. It will definitely give you a great advantage over the rest of us. The comfort level of each of you can be very important, and you can end up fighting over it. I've got one Filipina friend who visits on a rare occasion, but I'm very comfortable, and she thinks it's hot in here. She insists I turn the air conditioner on. For most Filipinos, it's the exact opposite. They're used to a much hotter, humid climate. Oftentimes, they have grown up without air conditioning and maybe just with a fan. And they're cold even when it's 85, 95 degrees, and they might be covered up while you're sweating. Now, I don't mean to be discouraging to anybody, but I do suggest that you put some thought into these and get to know somebody, because after that honeymoon period is over, that quick falling in love, and you start finding that you have compatibility issues, you have to decide where you're going to compromise. Where you plan to live can be a decision you both have to agree on too. She may want to live close to the family. Many expats will tell you you should move at least 2 islands away from the family so that you don't have that constant influence. But it really depends on your particular situation. Are you going to live Filipino style, or have a better house in a town nearby, or perhaps one of the larger towns, like here's Cebu City. This place happens to be Persimmon, where I lived for a number of months, and nice pool, amenities, gym, shopping centers, a lot of the things that you would want and need right there in town. Hospitals, schools, all the big shopping centers. It's not doesn't have everything that Manila has, but it has quite a bit. And there are many other nice areas and cities to choose from as well. Religion is very important to many Filipinos, Filipinas, and Catholicism is about 80% of the population, and it is a big part of their lives. Some of these people go to church and various masses and services several times during the week, as well as on Sundays. So that will very likely affect your life, your relationship, and met a number of people who are actively involved in churches here as well. There are a number of Protestant churches throughout the area. So it becomes very likely that sooner or later you will be involved in some way, whether it's a birth, a death, some other event at a church, a wedding, that you will be involved with your partner and their family. Are you two morning or night people? That can also be combined with your lifestyle. Are you a mellow stay-at-home kind of person, or do you want to get out a lot and even get into the party scene? I've had a couple of girls that I met, just briefly, say, hey, like 9 o'clock at night, let's go over to Mactan Island. Like, what's over there? Well, there are bars over there. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. They're more into that drinking late and party scene, and they work. Oftentimes they worked a late shift, so they're up. They're used to being up all night long and watching the sun come up before they're off of work. So when they get a day off, that's part of their rhythm that their body has, being up late. That also has something to do with the culture and the age difference. Although I know many expats who stay out late and party all night long as well. That's part of their lifestyle. But I enjoy a few beers with friends occasionally, but I'm pretty lightweight in that field. Filipino culture is very group and family oriented, and they like to do things together. And it's not unusual at all for somebody, and many expats will tell you the same thing, is that when you set up a date, they'll say, can I bring a cousin along? Can I bring a friend along? And they call that a chaperone for the first date, but can happen more and more often, quite often. The first girl I met here, who I would see occasionally, she would text me every couple of weeks and say, can I come and visit? And she would show up. She always had a friend with her, and she knew that we would go out to a nice restaurant. They would get a good meal, and they would talk in Bisaya the whole time, and I got to pay the bill. Then they would go home. So that there came to a point where I just ended that. Filipino time. It is what it is. It generally means that people are going to plan to meet you sometime. They're going to be at least 30 minutes late, very likely an hour late, quite possibly several hours late. And they don't seem to think that's a problem many times. And I've heard many expats complain about that. They go to meet somebody at the mall, and 30 minutes later they're still standing there, and they send the person a text, and they say, "Oh, I'm I'm just getting in a jeepney," and an hour later they text them again, and "Oh, I'm closer." Anyway, it can be very frustrating. A girl I know recently, I asked her, and we were going to meet some other people, and I asked, "Well, what time are you going to leave to meet those people?" "Well, 9 to 9:30. Well, what time are you going to meet them?" 9 to 9:30. Well, it was probably an hour to get to where she was going to go, so there's no way she was going to be on time. And I finally stated to her, asked her, "Oh, that's Filipino time you're talking about." It can be rather frustrating, but I guess considering the poor transportation here and the fact that delays are very common, it's maybe it's unrealistic to expect that people will be someplace when they say they will be. But what I ask people is that, if you're going to be much later, tell me, so that I'm not wasting a lot of my time, and that I can plan my own time accordingly. Love is a choice. I've said it before. I've done a video about that before. We choose to love, we choose not to love. But there are some things, depending upon how adaptable you are, how tolerant you are, where you're willing to compromise, there are some things you should consider in a relationship. And I know many of you talk to girls online for 6 months to a year to 2 years before you come over here to meet them. But you should discuss some of these different thoughts anyway. Thank you for watching. Please like the video. Please share the video. Please subscribe. Safe travels to you all wherever you're at, and we'll see you next time.